Is the Warriors dynasty over?
Well, I think it's in question. Just for the simple fact that, you know, with injuries like tearing your ACL, Achilles injury, I tore my ACL. And, yeah, guys come back in 6 months, 7 months, or whatever the case may be. But what people don't know is that it takes a full 22 to 24 months for you to get back to your normal self as far as with an ACL injury. So it would take Klay Thompson at least 2 years to get back to Klay Thompson. Achilles injury is the worst. It's almost career-ending. We don't know how Kevin Durant is going to bounce back. I mean, obviously, he's just a talent that we probably won't never see again in the history of the NBA. But, you know, that's 2 years of wasted. And teams are getting better. The West is going to get better. So things are going to get a whole lot harder for Golden State. And, you know, I tell you, it's definitely, you know, it's doubt right here. And for me, as far as with that dynasty, man, I think, you know, it's 50-50.
Wait, I just want to be clear. You said you had an ACL and it took you 2 years to get back to normal.
To normal, yes.
And you're saying KD with the Achilles, that injury is even worse.
The ACL.
Yes, and we just don't know. Like, you could recover and be back on the court in 6 or 7 months, but
yeah, you're not the same guy.
No, and teams are getting better. Teams are getting better, and these guys are not getting younger, by the way.
How do you define dynasty? Let me tell you how I define dynasty. I think if you have the same core group of guys, the same nucleus, and you can connect championships, that's still the same dynasty. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about champions in the 80s, because I think the Lakers had a dynasty in the 80s. Lakers, Sixers, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Pistons, Pistons. If the Lakers would have beaten the Bulls in 90-91, I'd say the dynasty was still going on. You can take a year or two off and not win a championship as long as you're a powerhouse, always contending and winning chips. To me, that's part of the same dynasty if it's the same core group of guys, right? So my Yankees won it in 96, not in 97, 98, 99, 2000. Barely missed it in 01, got knocked out early in 02, came close in 03. They got knocked out late if they would have won it in 04, I'd say that's the same dynasty, same core group, same dynasty. Now let's think about this. Who's the real core of this Warriors group? It's Steph, Klay, and Dre. Iguodala too, but he's aging, and, you know, Livingston maybe done. Steph, Dre, and Klay. If those three continue to contend year in and year out, not next year because everyone's hurt, but contend, powerhouse team, and they win a championship in the next 2 or 3 years, even 4 years, I'm going to say that's part of the overall Warriors dynasty. I predict Steph, Dre, and Klay got one more in them at least at some point, and they will be a powerhouse until then, so the dynasty is not over.
The dynasty is over if you're measuring it by winning championships. If you're measuring it by competing for championships, it's not. Because I think they'll still be around and they'll be in the mix, albeit not next year. I think next year is the year where there's a multitude of teams that would derail the Golden State Warriors from getting back to the conference finals,
right,
let alone an NBA finals. But I think the year after, once KD and Klay are healthy, at least one of them anyway, I think they'll be right back in the fold, right back in that championship picture. That's just my estimation about it all. I'm not going to count out. We got to take into account the way the game is played, the way the game is called, the fact that it favors shooters, it favors up-tempo. It's a softer version of the game. Now, if this was back in the good old days, you understand, then it would be a wrap. You
Right.
understand? They'd have hurt Steph a long time ago. They'd have looked at him, you know, looked at Klay, looked at the pretty boy backcourt.
Yeah.
They'd like, yeah, they would even try to hurt him. I'm just telling you that, and you know. It's just the way it was, Molly and Max. It's just the way it was back in the day. When your skill set was superior, all right, the bottom line is if you were a guy that was slight of frame, to a lesser degree, even KD, even though I think KD was so surreal, he would have overcome that because he's 6'11". Right. He's like a better version of George Gervin, the Iceman George Gervin, absolutely. Okay? But for the most part, if you're slight of frame, particularly in the 80s and the 90s.
That's not Klay, though.
They hurt you.
That's not Klay.
That's not Klay.
Klay is tough, playing any era.
But that's definitely Steph. You remember that Steph had those ankle injuries?
Yeah.
They'd untied the shoe.
Right.
They'd have stepped on his ankle on purpose. Absolutely. They'd have done a whole bunch of stuff to take him out. They're not doing that kind of stuff right now. So because of that, with them being able to shoot the basketball the way that they are, they're always going to have a chance as long as they're on the floor. But with us speculating as to the health of a KD, the health of a Klay, because that's your reality, and you can't necessarily go out and get another marquee guy to join Steph and Draymond, the bottom line is I think next year they're not going to be in the top four.
So this is my question. And I said this, if I'm KD, I'm coming back to Golden State. But we don't know what Kevin Durant is going to do. So that's going to determine, that's going to be a major factor in whether or not the dynasty is over. Because we have to remember that they went out to get KD because they needed KD, because Steph does have a history of disappearing or not stepping up to the level that he's supposed to in the finals. I mean,
now do you believe me? Perk said it. You believe it?
A spade is a spade. A spade is a spade, and a heart is a heart. It is what it is. You know, the stage was set perfectly for him this finals to go out here and be the best player that he could be. He had 47 points in
Game 3.
Game 3. That was the most meaningless 47 points I ever seen.
That's ridiculous. That was not meaningless.
No, it's not.
Those 47 points were not meaningless.
Game 5, he won it.
That's not true.
His game five
best game he
was
ever
the
played.
best game he ever played.
I'm not saying that it wasn't, but what I'm saying to you is don't say that the 47 in Game 3 was meaningless.
It was because...
Excuse me, time out. So let me finish. Let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Whether it doesn't matter, you played with Ray Allen, you played with Paul Pierce, you played with KG stuff. You trying to tell me you never saw those dudes explode and ball in a game they lost? Yeah, sometimes you look. I'm saying sometimes you ball and it's significant, but you can't finish the job.
Listen, what I'm
that doesn't mean it was meaningless.
Sometimes we get caught up in numbers. As fans, we get caught up in numbers.